Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Laurie Rose and today's video is all about the cost of living in Florida. And it's a hot topic for my friends and myself. And we've noticed that, and we're not the only ones, that the cost of living in Florida has gotten out of control. I just recently read an article that talks about what it costs to live in Florida. And if you were to come here as a single person and you want to move here, in order to live and just scrape by, you're going to need to make a salary of $80,000 a year. If you're a family, you need $120,000 a year just to scrape by. Now, I'm not saying that all of Florida is uber expensive, but if you want to live along the coast, if you want to live in somewhere like where I live, Naples, Florida, you want to live in Tampa, Miami, somewhere where there's people and things going on, a lot to do, you are going to pay a lot of money to live there. In fact, Miami is ranked number 26 on the list of most expensive cities to live in. So if you're coming to Florida and you're coming to Southwest Florida or South Florida or anywhere on the coast of Florida, get ready to open your pocketbook, open that wallet, because your money's gonna fly out of there. You know, I think what freaks people out the most when they hear that Florida is an expensive place to live is the fact that Florida used to be known as an affordable place to live. That's why we're known as the land of retirees, right? Like all these people go, oh, I'm going to come to Florida. Cost of living is less. There's no state income tax. So I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to live there either full-time or be a snowbird and come here part-time. Well, that lovely, idyllic way of living and of life is slowly being squashed. You know, I actually feel bad for people that are thinking about retiring. They've waited their whole lives to move here to Florida, to spend their retirement years, and now they can't afford it. And I know that if I were to move here now, I moved here 25 years ago, but if I was to move here today, I couldn't afford what I have. I couldn't afford the neighborhood I live in. I definitely couldn't afford to live in Naples, Florida. And that really sucks for a lot of people. And especially for those that have been saving and thinking about retiring to Florida. It's been the life dream and it's not going to happen for them. I feel bad. When you take a look at living on the coast or living in Tampa, Miami, here in Naples, our housing prices have gone through the roof in the last couple of years. In fact, they've gone up at least 50%, if not more, in the last 3 to 5 years. And that's made it tough for a lot of people to move here. Now we're starting to see Florida crack a little bit, right? We've seen high interest rates. We've seen investors leave. Now we're seeing Canadians leave, right? Because of the tariffs. And now we're seeing our home prices drop a little bit. And it'll be interesting to see how low they go. Are we going to crash the market? And I have another video on that. So if you want to take a look at the link above, you can see that. But are we going to crash? But the other thing is, our prices aren't just about our housing prices. There's so much more that goes into the cost of living here. You've got insurance, you've got property taxes, you've got all your utilities and everything else that goes into that. So just because housing prices are going to crash, that doesn't really mean that our cost of living is going to come down dramatically. What do you think? Okay, so just think about it. You bought a house, now you need insurance. And that's a tough situation in Florida because half the insurance companies went bankrupt, the other half left the state, and the few that are left are here and they are charging a lot. They're charging a premium to get that insurance. So if you need insurance, you're going to pay a lot. And I know that I've heard people who have had their insurances double in the last 3 to 5 years. I know mine's gone up from like $3,000 to over $6,000. And I'm not in a flood zone and I've had no hurricane damage, but That's just the reality of living here in Florida. And then the other thing to think about is your property taxes. Now, I think that we get a lot of services for our property taxes, but something that a lot of people don't know is that our property taxes are based on market value. So what you pay for your house is the starting point of what your taxes are based on. And that's unusual. A lot of places, it's a little bit different than that. You might get assessed every few years, but here in Florida, your prices or your taxes can go up every single year. Now, we do have a homestead exemption, and that helps those of us that live here full time. But if you're a part-time resident, you're screwed if home value goes up a lot in 1 year, because your next year's tax bill is going to be sky high. And that's a surprise that everybody gets. And it's not a pleasant surprise, that's for sure. And the other thing that comes with home buying sometimes is living in an HOA, and those fees have gotten expensive as well. And then when it comes to living in Florida, everything is expensive, not just housing, not just our property taxes and our insurance, but everything's expensive. And what people don't think about is we don't have a state income tax. And while that's great, we do have taxes. We have taxes on everything else. So we get taxed on our utilities, we get taxed on our food, our gas. All those things have an extra tax attached to it so that we can make up for having no state income tax. So that cost of living that used to be so affordable doesn't feel affordable anymore. My friends and I talk about it all the time now, about how expensive things have gotten, and we're all getting older, and we're getting approaching that age of thinking about retiring. And that's a scary thought when all of our monthly expenses keep going up month after month, year after year. And a lot of my friends are moving out of the area. They're looking to retire and go somewhere else where it's a little more affordable. And can't blame them for that. I love it here in Naples. I'm living in Naples. But at some point you start to think to yourself, if I'm on a fixed budget, I might not be able to live here anymore. I might have to move. And for me, that's not a pleasant thought. But my friends are moving to Tennessee, they're moving to Georgia, they're moving to the Carolinas, places that they feel are in the long run a more affordable place to live. So I've had that discussion with my friends. What about you? Have you thought about if you live here now, are you going to move, and where are you going to go? And if you're thinking about moving here, think about what it does cost to live here. Another thing that people don't think about is the fact that Florida doesn't really have any kind of mass transportation. So that's another monthly expense that you're going to have of gas, insurance on your car, all those things that you may not have to have somewhere else. And you definitely have to have a car here in Florida. So I'd love to hear what you have to say on this subject. Let me know if you're planning to move here to Florida, if you're planning on moving out of Florida, if you agree with the assessment that you need $80,000 a year as a single person to live in Florida and just scrape by. Or have you found an affordable place in Florida that you can live? I'd love to hear what you have to say. And don't forget, make sure that you've subscribed to my channel, like and share this video, and I will see you in my next video. See ya.